Until now, the best way to enjoy Red Dead Redemption outside of PC emulation has been to play the game through backwards compatibility emulation on Xbox One consoles. The One X and Series X iteration of the game was particularly exciting, offering full 4K visuals that gave a pixel-precise rendition of Red Dead's graphics. But the bespoke PS4 version seems like it could offer more compelling visuals. So how does it stack up? The key improvement here comes down to image quality. Looking at the PS4 Pro code here running on a PS5 versus the Xbox backwards compatible version running on Series X, the PS5 image is substantially more stable. Fine geometric elements and foliage seem sharp and solid here, while Series X has an unstable resolve with obvious jagged edges. Initially, I suspected we were just looking at simple TAA on PS5, but the options menu indicates that FSR2 is actually in use here, AMD's popular temporal upsampling and anti-aliasing solution. The weird thing is that every shot on both PS4 Pro and PS5 seems to resolve to a full 4K resolution, meaning the FSR2 is providing anti-aliasing coverage without necessarily an upsampling performance benefit, as the game is already running at native resolution. There's a possibility dynamic res is in place, but I didn't spot any evidence of it in my testing. It's unusual for sure, but that seems to be the situation. As for the Series X, that version inherits the anti-aliasing method used in the 360 original, which was 2 times MSAA, and it also runs at a 3 times resolution scale on each axis to reach a native 4K. It still looks great, mind you, but there's some obvious jagged edges and additional shimmering on foliage elements. The PS5 simply looks smoother here. Curiously, the PS5 also includes a toggle to switch to FXAA, a post-process AA method. We see a lot more image breakup here, with near constant shimmering in general gameplay. Expect to see a lot of very rough edges, especially on buildings and other sharply angled geometry. The game is still rendering at native 4K, but the image treatment isn't nearly as good as the FSR2 that you'd otherwise be getting. Beyond image quality, the list of enhancements are quite sparse. Remember that the Series X here is just running the 360 code with a higher res, anisotropic filtering, and a negative LOD bias to enhance texture mipmaps. So our point of comparison here is really just the original game viewed through a cleaner lens. We probably should be getting some extra enhancements on PS5, but the improvements here are pretty meager. One more notch in favor of the PS5 comes down to shadow quality. The Series X version, just like the 360 original, has pretty messy shadows at a distance and rough-looking self-shadows for character models. Resolutions get boosted across the board on the new PlayStation version, with much higher res shadow maps in every scenario. I'm not sure this is a complete win though, because the combination of the higher resolution and the original game's shadow filtering gives the PS5 a bit of a harsh look in a lot of scenes. It's very clinical and precise, but looks rather hard-edged. Uniformly softer shadows would probably look more realistic, but I'd still score this as a win for Sony's machines. And the PS5 does have a slightly different gamma presentation relative to Series X. This looks like a remnant of the 360's system-level gamma tweaks, which often produced a punchier image on 360 hardware relative to the PS3. Your mileage may vary here in terms of preference, but the PS5's more neutral image preserves shadow detail before any TV processing, so I do tend to prefer that image. The rest of the game looks very much the same between the two consoles. Models still have a sharp, slightly blocky character with 7th gen polygon budgets. I couldn't make out any improvement in textures either, and the game still suffers from some very low-res artwork. This includes the main character, whose muddy face should have been a high priority to improve. LODs look about the same between the two releases, with grass extending far into the distance on both machines, but with some noticeable pop-in at times as well. That means the PS3 release's LOD compromises haven't migrated over to the updated PlayStation versions. I would have loved extra visual enhancements on PS4 and PS5 consoles, of course, but it really does seem limited to image quality and shadows.